I would just like to thank the fans so much for staying around and waiting for the seniors for the senior walk. That's something that every football player has to do, whether it's Pop Warner, high school, college, invited to an NFL camp before you get cut, or play a long time professionally. There comes a day when you're going to have to put your shoulder pads away and you can't go play intramurals, and it's not the same when you play flag football with the IBM or Xerox. So I really want to say thank you to them, and hopefully it's something that'll hang around here for a long time, as long as I'm here. Questions?
Question, Coach? We'll start on the right with Dan.
Coach, just what you can say about this senior class, kind of going off of that, what they've meant to you, what they've taught you, maybe their legacy, in your opinion.
You know, first of all, you have to think back to the 2019 season. They had a lot to do with that success. It's unfortunate that we couldn't meet the expectations of everyone. We really, really tried, but we didn't get it done. I'm not done yet. But to have a situation where we could send those young men out as winners, and the rest of the team rally to play for something when a lot of people think they had nothing to play for, once again, I think just shows how close those guys are and how we are a family, a La Familia in Ohana. Go ahead.
Dino, I know you have to do coaching evaluations at the end of the year. I'm curious how quickly you do that, and what's the time frame for assessing which coaches you want to bring back or maybe move on from?
Again, I think it's something that, this is not like something you do and you just off the spur of the moment. You don't want emotions to dictate your decisions. You got to take all that stuff out of it, and you have to evaluate the program and the players and everything from top to bottom. There's going to be some changes. There's no doubt about that, but I've always been slow to go on those things, and even though I'm an emotional guy, I really try to take the emotion out of it. So we'll take some time off, and we'll do some things, and then we'll come to some conclusions, and we'll make some decisions.
Mario, all the way in the back, Coach.
Hi, Coach. They gave me a microphone. I won't yell this time.
You got a good yelling voice.
Do you consider this season progress or a step back?
This is what I think it's a negative that we can turn into a positive for everyone, the community, the media, everybody. I mean, you look at some things and you think about the new, I won't even go there. I won't go there. I'm going to hold on that statement. It is what it is. The results are the results. And what we need to do now is turn that negative into a positive. And I think we can build upon the mistakes that we made this year. And hopefully that's going to lead us to something better in the future. Because if not, then this year was a waste. And I don't want this year to be a waste. I want it something that we remember as a family, not only on the football field, but in our lives as well. That anything that we want, we've got to work hard for, and it's never given to us.
It's similar to what you said a minute ago, especially with how frustrating this season was to end it that way. In overtime against a pretty good conference rival, a fumble return for a touchdown overtime. I mean, what was all that like at the ending of that game?
Well, it's amazing, and that's not just a rival. That's a rival that had an opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, to finish second in the ACC Atlantic, which is exactly what we did last year. So this was a good football team. Hey, they were banged up. They had some guys missing, but I guarantee you, if they want to add up who they had out and who we had out, because we had a bunch of guys missing, and I thought what you saw was two good coaches, a lot of, when I say coaches, I mean coaches and their staffs, and a lot of players playing for their culture. I think Wake Forest has a fantastic culture. I think Dave Clawson does an outstanding job. And I've had the opportunity of following that man, so I know what his players were like after he left, and he does an outstanding job. I also think that we have an outstanding culture, and I think that we're doing a better job, and we're going to get even better, and we're going to get to the situation where we can turn this thing around and be a winner consistently and not occasionally.
Hey, Coach. I know you love all your seniors equally, but how special was it for you specifically to see Clayton get that first and last start in the Syracuse uniform and get the win in his last game?
That was just a happening. We had some things happen during the week and last games and all that other kind of stuff. That was just a happening. But once again, you have to be ready. It's the next man up attitude. And even then in the game, there was times where, we're playing both the guys, which is okay. There's no rule that says you only have to play one. But it was exciting to see Clayton have that memory. Who knows? He may go off, take his Syracuse degree, start running a company, get bid out by bought out by some huge company, and come back and build a dome with his name on it. And we'd all feel better about that here in upper state New York. So we want all those guys to have an opportunity as seniors. And a lot of times, not a lot of time, most of the time, the Syracuse degree does a lot more than the things that they can do on a football field. But we'll miss Clayton. Clayton is one of those guys that has a sense of humor that's very unique, Northern California type cat. So we'll really miss him. He's fun to be around.
Hey, Coach, I know it was Seniors Day, so it's on the seniors, but Tristan Jackson reaching 1,000 yards receiving this year. How does it make you feel that on his first year as part of the Orange, he was able to hit 1,000?
It's nice that he got 1,000, but it's almost like he got a quiet 1,000. If someone say, "Hey, Tristan went over 1,000 yards," you turn around and go, "Really?" It's like it's a quiet 1,000, and we're happy for that. But let's see if we can have a loud one in 2020. How about that?
Chris?
Dino, obviously it only added to the drama, but what were you seeing on the field when you called the timeout on 3rd and 8, kind of late in the game with the clock running?
It was a tough call on me because I could have let the clock run down, and that would have given them less time to go the other way. But a 3rd and 8 in that situation, if we convert, we're going to be able to run that clock down to nothing, and the game is going to be over without having an opportunity for the defense to go back out there again. Obviously we called the timeout. Clayton did a nice job. We called a combination we thought would be effective. There might have been a guy open, there might not have been a guy open, but the last thing that he understood is that we needed to get a field goal out of this thing. And by him throwing that ball away, allowing us to get a field goal based off of his decision, it forced them that they couldn't just run the ball or come out and kick a field goal with a field goal kicker that had never missed until earlier in the game. So it kept them throwing the football, and then the rest is history. That was a pass play that Trill took the ball away from that guy, right? Okay, that all goes into it, because if we don't have that, every one of those plays or runs, and the field goal kicker comes out there.
Coach, when you were coming into Syracuse, Mo Neal was committed to this school, and he stayed committed to you. He had just shy of 100 yards today. He had a play where he didn't give up and kept your drive alive. Just what you can say about Mo Neal through your entire time here he's been with you.
First of all, he's been such a treat. He's a guy that always comes to practice with a smile on his face. He has a dad that is, and I shouldn't say, he has a family that's amazing. And his dad, I've had 2 really cool dads. Not that I shouldn't say this. I've had 2 outstanding dads that just stand out to me, and Mo Neal is one of them. Mo Neal's dad is one of those guys that come to practice, and he'd watch practice. He'd never say a word. Never say, "Hey, my kid should be playing more. My kid should be playing less." He never said a word. All he did was enjoy the practice, and it's rare to have dads like that, and especially at the practices. So my hat goes off to Mr. O'Neal, and the only other guy I had like that was Jimmy Garoppolo's dad. Jimmy Garoppolo's dad spoke to me twice in 2 years. Twice. One time was, "Hi, Coach, my name is da-da-da." I forgot his first name, Mr. Garoppolo. I'm like, "You're Jimmy's dad." He's like, "Yeah, I know you're busy." And, "Wait a minute, you're my starting quarterback's dad. I got time for you." The second time was when his senior year, when we had just beat a team that were supposed to lose by 21 in the opening game, and I told him his son was going to get drafted in the National Football League, and he says, "Coach, that's nice. You don't have to say stuff like that. We're just happy that that he's starting." And I'm like, "Mr. Garoppolo, you don't understand. This guy's going to play in the league." And he's like, "That's nice, Coach, but we understand. We're happy he's getting his degree." And I had to sit him down and tell him, I'm talking about somebody else, but I had to sit him down and tell him, "Your son is going to be a National Football League player." That's how humble he was, and that's how humble Mr. O'Neal is. And when you get parents like that, you're going to get sons like that. And when you get sons like that, you're going to have a fantastic family.
Coach, you mentioned last year those bowl practices will be invaluable. This year, you guys won't get a chance to go to a bowl, but you guys can hit the recruiting trail right away. You mentioned turning a negative into a positive. Is that one of the positives where you guys can hit the recruiting trail right away and put on the tape from this game and show what type of family you are building here?
There's no doubt. Again, you don't get to go bowling, but you do get to go recruiting. sliding scale right there. And, I'll be out here. I won't be in town. We're recruiting right now, actually. We have 2 recruits in this weekend, and I can't mention names because of NC2A rules, and I'll be out on Monday. So recruiting happens right now. In fact, recruiting started right when the game ended, and it will carry on and all the way into that second Wednesday in February, I believe.
How do you remember your last How do you remember your last competitive football game and hang up the shoulder pads from your own experience?
This is the second time I've been asked this question this week, and I'm going to answer it the exact same way. My last experience hanging up the shoulder pads, I was in the Canadian Football League. And I thought I was going to make the football team until I got injured in the week, and I got examined by the athletic trainer, and he found out I didn't have an ACL. And then they didn't play me the entire game. And then right before the game ended, they put me in for one play. And then they were going to take me out, but my roommate was the starting quarterback, and he waved the other guy off and gave me a second play trying to get me to show something of what I could do. And then after those 2 plays, they cut me the next morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, so they didn't have to do the surgery on my knee. So that was my last play. And it's exciting. And it's a lesson, and it's a lesson that I share with my football team as well, is that the last time that you're going to play this game for love is at the collegiate level. And the minute you graduate, the minute you become a senior, it's a business, and a business with business decisions. And they don't always go your way, and sometimes they don't do the right thing. So if you really want to enjoy it and you really want to have fun, you need to put your time into college football, because that's the pure part of this game. Thank you for asking the question.
Last question, Coach. Mario, Matt.
How will you remember this 2019 campaign?
I'll remember it with a really nice win at the end for the seniors, because I think that's very important. I'll remember it as disappointments. I'll remember it as seasonal swings where maybe the team was first and then individuals started popping up, and then it swung back to the team. And the coolest thing about football is you can't be about yourself. You have to be about others. And then when you start putting yourself first, there's normally difficulties and there's normally hard times. And we'll go back and we'll work hard on that culture again to make sure that we're always a family when we're representing the Orange. Thank you.